Hey everyone, welcome back to another episode of Lilbumblebear's Let's Play. I'm Kristen and I am here with more Bible stories on this channel. This game is literally called Children's Bible Stories. We're going to be learning about stories from the Bible, Old Testament and New. Yes, I am a Christian and I love Jesus, and I just want to thank everyone on this channel recently who has been so supportive and nice and happy to know that I am a Christian and that I have nothing to hide or be ashamed of with my faith in Jesus Christ. And I encourage everyone who is a believer to not be ashamed either, because there's absolutely no reason to be at all. I've never been ashamed, but I'm very thankful that it touched so many people, more than I thought it would. I had no idea. So yes, by the request of you guys, you want more Bible games, and well, here you go. Children's Bible Stories. I hope you'll enjoy. Give the video a thumbs up, please, so more people can find these games. Leave a comment down below, and of course subscribe. Check out the playlist in the description box to see all the other Christian games on this channel. I have a Twitter and Instagram you're welcome to follow, and a really nice Discord server open to everyone. Invite links in the description box. Come say hi to me in there. But yeah, let's learn about the Bible. Please enjoy.
The trees, the squirrels and bees were made from the heavens above. The rocks, the streams, your hands and knees, all brought to us from God with love. There's Eve, a snake, and Noah's boat, with Moses here along for the ride. There's saints and kings and men of note, and angels flying side by side. So come along with me on a journey. Climb aboard and make some great new friends. We'll learn about God and Jesus and all that the Bible says. Oh, hey, yeah, yo, yippee, yeah, yeah, yo. Come on with me, I know a place where we can go. Oh, hey, yeah, yo, yippee, yeah, yeah, yee. The the starting place for you and me.
Wow, is that good?
Welcome, I'm Angelica, Super Help Angel Extraordinaire, and I'm here to help you. Well, that's obvious. Now, let's get down to business. Click on the scroll and it will open. When you're reading the Old Testament stories and you click on the Old Testament button, you'll return to the Old Testament menu to select another great story. If you're reading New Testament stories, clicking on the New Testament button will return you to the New Testament menu. Click on the sound button and you can turn the sound on or off. Click on the coloring book button and you can print out a coloring book picture from the story you are reading. If you get into trouble, click on me and I'll help you. When you are finished with a story page, click this button to continue. If you want to read the previous page, just click this button. If you want to hear this page again, click on this button. At the end of a story, clicking this button will send you on to the next Bible story. After each page is read, click on any of the animals' heads and see what they have to say. Click on the harp and you're out of there.
The first days.
In the beginning, God made heaven and earth, but everything was dark. So God said,
Let there be light.
He called the light
Day.
and the dark.
Night.
That was how the first day began. On the second day, God said,
Let there be a great space, and I will call it sky.
So God created the clouds and the sky. On the third day, God made the mountains, islands, and deserts. He took water and shaped it into oceans, rivers, lakes, and ponds. When He created the grass and the trees, He created flowers too. On the fourth day, God made two great lights. He called the bigger light the
sun,
and He used it for daylight. The smaller light became
the moon.
And then He added the twinkling stars above our heads. On the fifth day, God thought,
I am so pleased with what I have done.
He filled the oceans and rivers and lakes with colorful fishes. Then He raised His arms to the sky and filled it with soaring birds in flight. On the sixth day, God thought,
This is right and good. Now I will make man and woman.
So God made man and woman, and He said to them and all the creatures,
Be fruitful and multiply.
On the seventh day, God looked over all He had created, and He smiled. Happy with the world around Him, He rested.
The Garden of Eden.
When God made the first man, Adam, He gave Adam the Garden of Eden. The animals in the garden kept Adam company, but God thought,
Adam needs a friend.
so God made the woman Eve, who lived happily with Adam in Eden. Adam and Eve were allowed to eat fruit from any of the beautiful trees in Eden, except from the tree of knowledge of good and bad. God said,
If you eat from the tree of knowledge, you must leave the garden.
One day, a snake slithered into the garden.
Did God warn you about eating fruit from the tree of knowledge?
The snake asked Eve.
Yes,
Eve replied.
God said we must leave the garden if we eat from that.
How silly.
The snake hissed.
God won't let you eat the fruit because you'll know what he knows. His secrets.
Eve was curious, so she tasted the fruit of the tree of knowledge and gave Adam a bite. After Adam bit into the fruit, he felt scared for the first time. God had told them not to eat from that tree, and now he would have to tell God what they had done. Feeling sorry, Adam hid from God. Later that day, God was walking through the garden. He called,
Adam, where are you?
Adam answered,
We are afraid and are hiding. We did not listen. We have eaten from the tree of knowledge.
God was angry with Adam and Eve. He said,
Because you have not listened to me, you must leave the Garden of Eden.
So Adam and Eve left Eden, and life was hard for them from that day forward.
Noah's Ark. Go and have children.
God told man and woman. So they did, and the earth was full of people. But many people did bad things, and the earth was like a garden full of weeds. So God decided to flood the earth. God spoke to Noah, an honest and good man.
Build yourself a boat, a wooden ark. Find 2 of every kind of animal, gather their food, and put them on the ark.
Noah trusted God, so he did what God said. Then God said to Noah,
Live on your ark with your family and the animals, because it is going to rain for 40 days and 40 nights. There will be a great flood, but the ark will keep you dry.
Just as God warned, rain flooded the earth 40 days and 40 nights, and all living things were washed away. But Noah's family and animals were safe inside the ark. When the flood ended, Noah's ark was left high on a hill. Shining in the sky above was a beautiful rainbow, the first one ever created. The rainbow was God's promise that there would never be such a flood again, and God told Noah and the animals to start the world over.
Moses in the basket.
Years passed from the time Noah's family started the world over. During those years, many kings of Egypt, called pharaohs, came and went. One pharaoh disliked the Israelites, the people from the Holy Land of Israel, so he made them his slaves. But there was an Israelite mother who loved her baby and did not want him to grow up a slave. So she hid the baby in a basket that would float on the Nile River. The mother sent the baby in the basket down the river. The baby's sister Miriam hid in the bushes and watched as the basket drifted down the river. The Pharaoh's daughter picked up the basket and found the baby inside.
A baby boy, said the Pharaoh's daughter with joy. I shall keep him and name him Moses. But who shall nurse him?
Miriam walked up to the Pharaoh's daughter and said,
I know an Israelite woman who can be the baby's nurse.
The Pharaoh's daughter agreed to hire a nurse for the baby. So Miriam brought her mother to the Pharaoh's daughter, and the Israelite mother was given the job of raising baby Moses, her own son.
The Promised Land.
Moses grew up in the Pharaoh's palace, but Moses was an Israelite, and he was unhappy that the Pharaoh made the Israelites into slaves. They worked hard, and their life was terrible. So Moses left the palace to be a simple shepherd. God was troubled too. He did not want his people to be slaves. One day, as Moses was taking care of his sheep, God visited him in the shape of a burning bush.
Moses,
a voice called from the bush.
I am here,
Moses replied. The voice from the burning bush said,
I am God.
And Moses was afraid. He had never spoken with God. God told Moses,
You must help me. I have come to free the Israelites from being slaves in Egypt. I will tell you what to do, and you will lead the Israelites out of Egypt and into the Promised Land.
But how can I lead the Israelites?
Asked Moses.
I am only a shepherd. They won't follow me.
God answered,
Oh, yes, they will. I will give you proof to show them I am on your side, and they will follow you. Throw down your stick,
God ordered. Moses dropped his wooden stick, and it became a snake.
Pick it up,
God said. Moses grabbed the snake, and it became a stick again.
Show the Israelites this, and they will believe you.
And so Moses returned to Egypt, knowing he could lead the Israelites to the Promised Land.
Moses parts the Red Sea.
Moses led the Israelites out of Egypt as God asked, and the Egyptians chased them. When God appeared as a cloud, Moses knew this was a signal and followed the cloud. He led the Israelites to the edge of the Red Sea. The Israelites were afraid. The Pharaoh's soldiers were close behind them, and the sea was before them. They felt trapped. Had Moses been wrong about God's signals? Moses stood by the water, wondering what to do. Then Moses stretched out his hand over the sea, and God made the sea split in two. A dry path appeared. The Israelites took the path, walking between walls of seawater. They reached the other side of the Red Sea. The Egyptians raced along the dry path behind the Israelites. God told Moses,
Wave your staff over the sea.
Moses lifted his staff, and a strong wind blew the sea back into place, covering up the Egyptians. The Israelites were finally free.
The 10 Commandments.
The people of Israel continued on their hard journey. God helped them on their way. They camped by Mount Sinai. God appeared in the shape of a cloud and called to Moses. He spoke to Moses so everyone could hear, and they would trust Moses' word. The earth trembled, and there was a terrible storm. Then God spoke. He said to Moses and to the Israelites,
I have 10 commandments I want you to follow. You shall have no other God but me, and you must trust me. You shall not worship another god. You shall use God's name respectfully. You shall rest on the day at the end of each week and keep it holy. You shall respect your father and your mother. You shall not kill. You shall be true to your husband or to your wife. You shall not steal. You shall not lie. You shall not be jealous of anyone else.
And God said,
These will be your rules to live as good people. Samson and Delilah.
There was a time when the people of Israel were at war with the Philistines. God helped the Israelites defend their land by making one of their men the strongest of all men. This man was Samson. The secret of Samson's strength was his hair.
Do not cut your hair, Samson,
God warned,
or you will lose your power.
The Philistines needed to know the secret to Samson's power in order to beat him and win against Israel. They sent Delilah, a clever woman, to learn Samson's secret. Delilah asked Samson many questions about his strength. Samson knew she wanted to trick him, so he said,
Don't you know? I lose my power if I'm tied with 7 leather straps.
That night, while Samson slept, Delilah tied him down with 7 straps. In the morning, the Philistines attacked, thinking Samson was safely tied down. But Samson easily broke loose. You have made a fool of me, said Delilah, angry at Samson. Delilah asked Samson again and again for his secret, and Samson tricked her every time. Finally, Samson gave in and told her his secret.
If my hair is cut, I'll lose my power.
When Samson fell asleep, Delilah cut his hair. Samson became weak, and the Philistines captured him. They took away his eyes, making him blind, and put him in prison. But the Philistines forgot to keep cutting Samson's hair, and it grew back. The Philistines brought Samson to a crowded temple to celebrate their victory. Samson quietly asked God,
Make me strong again, so that I may get revenge for my eyes.
Samson grabbed a big pillar and pulled the temple down on the Philistines.
David and Goliath.
The Israelites were still at war with the Philistines. On the Philistine side was a terrible giant soldier named Goliath. He was 9 feet tall. Goliath could beat any Israelite who tried to fight him. One of the Israelites was a shepherd named David, who was too young to fight. One day, when David brought food to the soldiers, Goliath entered the camp.
Run for your life!
Cried a soldier, and everyone ran from the giant.
I will fight Goliath,
said David. He put on a coat of armor and picked up a sword. But the sword was too big to carry, and the armor was so heavy on David he couldn't walk. How could he fight Goliath? David had an idea. Setting down the armor and sword, he went to a nearby river. David used his staff to pull 5 smooth stones from the water. He put the stones in a bag and went to face the giant. Goliath looked down at David and laughed.
Am I supposed to be afraid of a shepherd and his stones?
David said,
You can fight me with a sword and spear, but I am here to fight you in the name of God.
David took a stone from his bag and put it in his sling. He swung the sling at Goliath, and the stone hit the giant in the forehead. The great Goliath fell to the ground, dead. David grabbed Goliath's sword. With one stroke, he cut off the giant's head. The Philistines saw David do this. A shepherd boy, not a soldier, had killed Goliath. The Philistines turned and ran away.
The walls of Jericho.
Jericho was a city on a hill. It had high, thick walls. The walls were so high that the Israelite soldiers could not climb them to capture the city. But Joshua, a leader of the Israelites, listened to God for help. God told Joshua,
March your soldiers around the city. 7 men with trumpets should lead. Do this 6 days without making a sound. On the 7th day, march 7 times around Jericho. Blow the trumpets and shout. The city will be yours.
For 6 days the soldiers marched quietly around the city walls. The people of Jericho yelled down at the Israelites and made fun of them. Each day the soldiers wanted to yell back, but Joshua warned them to keep quiet. Shh. On the 7th day, the soldiers marched around the city 7 times. Then the 7 men blew their trumpets, and all the Israelites shouted. The walls of Jericho shook and fell. The Israelites took the city, just as God promised.
The Song of Deborah.
At one time, a woman named Deborah was the leader of the Israelites. The people trusted Deborah, and she ruled them well. Here is a song that Deborah liked to sing.
I am here to guide and serve all my people you deserve. both as spider and as guide. I will lead you all to peacefulness, and my faith will never die. I will sing to the Lord, make music for his words. I will sing with all my gratitude and a heart filled up with joy. I will sing to the Lord, make music for his words. I will sing with all my gratitude and a heart filled up with joy. I will sing with all my gratitude and a heart filled up with joy.
Jonah and the whale.
Jonah was a prophet, a holy man of Israel. But when God asked him to go to a wicked city where bad people lived, Jonah was afraid. He got on the ship and sailed away. But Jonah couldn't sail away from God. God stirred the ocean and made it stormy. The ship was sinking. Jonah felt bad for the sailors on the ship.
God is mad at me, not you,
Jonah told them.
Throw me into the ocean to save yourselves.
The sailors did not know what to do. Finally, as the storm grew worse, they threw Jonah into the water to save the ship. And the storm went away as Jonah sank deeper and deeper into the ocean. God was glad that Jonah had cared for the sailors and did not just think about himself. So God ordered a whale to swallow Jonah. Inside the belly of the whale, Jonah traveled to safety. He had learned to obey God.
A visit with an angel.
God sent the angel Gabriel to visit Mary, a young woman who lived in the town of Nazareth. Gabriel came to Mary and said,
"Hello, Mary. The Lord is with you."
Mary was surprised to see the angel.
A visit with an angel.
God sent the... Gabriel said,
"Don't be afraid. God loves you. I came to tell you that you will have a baby, and you will name him Jesus. He will be a great man, because he will be the Son of God."
Mary asked,
"How is that possible?"
Gabriel answered,
"With God, nothing is impossible."
And Mary believed the angel.
"I'm happy to be so blessed,"
she said with joy.
Inside the manger.
Mary and her husband Joseph were expecting a baby soon, but they had to travel to Bethlehem to pay their taxes. When they arrived in Bethlehem, Mary's child was ready to be born. There was no place to stay in Bethlehem. Every inn and house was full, so Mary and Joseph went to a nearby stable to rest with the animals. In the warm stable, the baby Jesus was born. Mary and Joseph were happy. The baby Jesus slept, wrapped in a blanket as he lay safe and sound in a manger. And God was happy that he had a son.
The shepherds and 3 wise men.
On the night that Jesus was born, angels visited some shepherds who were watching their sheep. One angel said, "Today God's son was born. He will be the King of the Jews. He is safe in Bethlehem." Then all the angels sang,
Glory to God on the highest, and on earth peace, goodwill towards men.
The angels left, and the shepherds went to see the baby Jesus in the manger. Everyone was happy they had come. The shepherds loved the little baby Jesus, so they spread the word about him across the land. And Mary knew that the baby was a Savior sent by God, and that he would one day be a great man. At this time, 3 wise men saw a bright new star in the east sky. The star meant the King of Jews was born. They told Herod, king of Israel, the news. This worried Herod. He wanted to be the only king. Herod told the wise men to find the baby king. Secretly, Herod planned to kill him. The wise men followed the star to Bethlehem and found baby Jesus. They gave him gifts of gold and spices. That night, in a dream, the 3 wise men were warned by God not to tell King Herod where baby Jesus was. So they traveled home on a different path to avoid Herod, and they did not tell him where Jesus was.
Jesus on the Mount.
When Jesus was a young man, he began teaching the ways of God. So many people wanted to hear Jesus speak that he had to stand on top of a large hill to be heard. The people came to him, and Jesus said,
God loves us and always takes care of us. He feeds us when we are hungry. He clothes us when we are cold. If we want to be God's children, we must make peace.
The loaves and the fishes.
A crowd of people came to listen and learn from Jesus, but there was not enough food for everyone to eat. Jesus asked the disciples, his 12 best students,
How many loaves of bread do we have?
One of his disciples, Andrew, said,
There's a boy here who has 5 loaves and 2 small fishes, but those won't be enough for everyone.
Jesus knew better. He smiled and said,
Have everyone sit down.
And all 5,000 people did. Then Jesus took the loaves and gave thanks to God. He broke up the bread and gave the pieces to his disciples. The disciples broke their pieces of bread and gave them to the people sitting near them. They did the same with the fishes. The food kept coming, and everyone had more than enough to eat.
Wow, this is good. This sure is tasty.
Jesus walks on water.
One day, Jesus asked his disciples to get in a boat and cross to the other side of a lake. While the students went out onto the lake, Jesus went alone up to a mountaintop to pray. Out on the water, it became stormy. The wind and waves tossed the disciples' boat up and down. Jesus saw his friends were in trouble. He went to them by walking on the water.
Is that a ghost walking on the water?
Asked the disciple Peter. He was scared. Jesus answered,
It is I, your friend. Don't be afraid.
Peter said,
If it really is you, then let me walk on the water.
Jesus said,
Come.
Peter walked toward Jesus, but when he saw the waves around him, he was afraid and began to sink.
Lord, save me!
Peter cried. Jesus stretched out his hand, pulled Peter up, and asked,
Why didn't you believe in me?"
As Jesus and Peter walked on the water together toward the boat, the wind stopped blowing. The water became calm. Then everyone in the boat believed in Jesus and said,
"It is true! You are the Son of God!"
The Good Samaritan.
Jesus was speaking to his followers when one listener asked,
"How can I live forever?"
Jesus answered,
"By loving God, loving yourself, and loving your neighbor."
The listener asked,
"Who is this neighbor that I must love?"
Jesus explained by telling this story.
A traveling man came upon robbers on the road to Jerusalem. The robbers hurt him, took his money, and left him in the road. A priest saw the hurt man, but did not stop to help. Another man passed by without helping. Then a Samaritan came. He helped the man and cleaned his wounds. The Samaritan took the man to an inn and gave the innkeeper money. He said, "Take care of him, and if you need more money, I will come pay you."
Jesus turned to the listener and asked,
"Now who do you think was a good neighbor to the hurt man?"
The listener replied,
"The Samaritan who helped him."
Jesus told the listener,
"Go and help those who need it."
Mary and Martha.
Jesus walked through a town and stopped at Martha's house. Martha had a sister named Mary who was very interested in what Jesus had to say. Mary sat at Jesus' feet and listened to him as he talked. Meanwhile, Martha was very busy. She cleaned the house, washed the clothes, and baked bread. Martha saw that Mary wasn't helping her. She was listening to Jesus instead. Martha was upset that she had to do all of the chores herself. Martha complained to Jesus.
"Mary left me all the work and doesn't help out."
Jesus said,
"Martha, you are a good worker, but Mary is a good listener. While I am here, it is more important to listen. Come, join us."
The Prodigal Son.
There was a man who had 2 sons. The younger son did not want to wait for his share of the family money. He wanted his inheritance right away, so his father gave him the money. The son moved to a faraway country. There he lived it up and spent his money freely. Soon he had nothing. He became poor. He tried to work for food as a lowly servant, but no one would feed him.
"My father's pigs eat better than I do,"
he thought.
"I'd best become a servant in his house."
But he was afraid to go back to his father. He thought his father would hate him for leaving home and spending his money. But he missed home, so he decided to go anyway. When he saw his father, he said,
"Father, I have made a mistake. I am a sinner, and am not worthy to be called your son. Make me one of your servants."
But his father was so happy to see his lost son that he forgave him. The father said,
"Let's be merry. My son was lost and is now found."
And he had a party to welcome home his son.
The Last Supper.
Jesus had a dinner for his students, the disciples. There was one disciple named Judas who had become a traitor. Jesus' enemies had paid Judas to tell them where Jesus would be that night. At the dinner table, Jesus ate bread, drank wine, and shared with his disciples.
"Take this wine and this bread, and when you drink and eat it, always remember me,"
he said. Then Jesus told his disciples,
"One of you will hurt me. To him I give a piece of bread."
He handed the bread to Judas, the traitor. Jesus said to him,
"Do what you must do."
And Judas went to Jesus' enemies. Jesus said,
"I must leave you for a little while. Believe in God and believe in me. I will be back to comfort you."
Jesus knew he would die and then come back to show everyone the way to heaven.
The cross and the resurrection.
Judas told Jesus' enemies where he was. When the soldiers came, Jesus went with them peacefully. He knew they wanted to kill him because God had planned it from the very beginning. Jesus' enemies did not believe he was the Son of God.
Crucify him!
They ordered and nailed Jesus' hands and feet to a wooden cross. Jesus said to God,
"Father, forgive them, for they know not what they do."
Then he died. Jesus' disciples were sad, but soon they would see him again. A rich man named Joseph took Jesus' body and put it in a tomb. Joseph blocked the entrance with a great stone and had guards stand watch over the tomb. When a woman named Mary was visiting the tomb, she felt a great earthquake. She saw an angel come and roll away the stone from the entrance to the tomb. Seeing the angel, the guards fainted from fear. The angel said to Mary, "Don't be afraid. I know you are looking for Jesus, but he isn't here. Go tell his friends he is alive." And Mary told the wonderful news that Jesus was alive.
The Ascension.
Jesus came back from the grave and spent 40 days with his disciples. He taught his beloved students many things and told them that he would visit again. He said,
"Soon you will be baptized with the Holy Spirit. Then you will receive the power of God. You will tell my story to the people in Jerusalem and to people all over the earth."
Jesus blessed his disciples. Then, as they looked at him, Jesus became surrounded by a bright light. He was taken up into the heavens, and he disappeared. Sometime after this, John, a good student of Jesus's, prayed and saw heaven. It was a beautiful and peaceful place. John knew Jesus would one day come back to lead his people into glorious heaven.
The first days.
In the beginning, God